sometimes your answer is not a whole number, it's a decimal. So what this means is that these answers are decimals. So I already heard you all say that there are 2 x-intercepts, which I agree with. Our first one is here. And what numbers does that fall between? -5 and -4. There's an invisible -5 at the edge that just got cut off. And then we also have one right here. And between what 2 numbers does that fall between? 0 and 1. Good job. Okay, so we're kind of doing something a little weird in our notes. Instead of going 1, 2, 3, we're going 1, 2, 4. Which is why you had homework 4 instead of homework 3, because that homework goes with lesson 4. So we're actually going to skip ahead all the way to page 16 in your blue packet. And then after the test next week, we'll come back and do lesson 3. You need a binder now? No. I can get you one, because that's a mess. It's a mess. You don't? Okay. All right, so there are 3 different ways to write an equation. We've already talked about this method. This is what we've been talking about. That's where everything is multiplied and you have an A, a B, and a C. Now we're going to talk about factor form. Now the benefit of factor form is that you can easily find the answers, okay? So I'm going to actually zoom into this graph as we talk a little bit about it. And I know it's a little blurry, so I'm going to take a minute and just kind of trace it out so you can see it a little bit better. So what we have is a parabola. And that parabola crosses the x-axis here and here. The first time it crosses is at -3. And the second time it crosses is at +5. So I want you to notice what happens with these 2 numbers when we put it in factor form. So let's look here. This is the factor that goes with that x-intercept. What happened to that 3? I think I heard somebody. Yeah, it became positive. It flips the sign. Notice that here it's a -3, but in the parentheses, the factor is a +3. Same thing happens with the 5. The +5 flips to a -5. And that's what happens when we go from factor form to our solutions. All right, it's going to flip the sign. All right, so let's go ahead and do a little bit of practice with some equations that have already been factored. Now, the first step is always to set it equal to 0, look for a GCF, and then we're going to factor it, okay? Notice there are 3 different ways you can say a solution, and we'll talk about that. All right, so they started off pretty easy. They're already factored. So we're going to just take each factor, set it equal to 0. And solve it. So Libby, how would I solve this first one? How do I get rid of the 5? Subtract it, yeah. So we're going to subtract the 5 from both sides. So then my answer would be x equals -5. So on the graph, this would cross through at -5, 0. I'm going to write it as an ordered pair also. So if we were to graph it, I would put a point at -5 on the x-axis. Nakeem, how would I solve this second one here? What would I do? Subtract the 3. So that means that x equals -3, and my x-intercept would be -3, 0. All right, take a minute. I want you to try to solve the next 2 on your own. Find your 2 solutions. This has already been factored for you. I just want you to find your 2 solutions for both of these. All right, so for your first one, you're going to add the 2. So you should get x equals 2. And for the second one, I am subtracting 1. So I have x equals negative 1. Any questions about those two? Who had that? Good job. All right, now let's look at our next example. Now, when there's only an x taken out, that is still an answer. So this first factor, that still gives me an answer. The answer is just 0. If all you can take out is just an x, that means one of my answers is 0. It's going to cross through at 0, 0. And then when you take the x plus 4 and you subtract the 4, you get x equals negative 4. That would be your second solution. So you can have 0 as an answer. That is a real answer. All right, take a moment and do this last one on your own. This first one is going to give you either a fraction or a decimal. Both would be fine. So take a minute and solve both of those. Terencio, did you get this? I don't think you came in when I was... This is homework 4. It's due Wednesday, next Wednesday. Did everybody pick up homework 4? Does anybody else need a copy? All right. So today's Thursday, so that's gonna go here. All right, so for our first one, we have to subtract 1 and divide by 2. So when I subtract the 1, I get 2x equals negative 1. And then I'm dividing by 2. So my first answer can be written as x equals negative 1/2. Or you could write that as a decimal. X equals negative 0.5. Or for my second answer, I'm going to add the 7. So that would give me x equals 7. So now let's go to the next page where we're going to factor and then do a sketch. Now a sketch is not as accurate as a graph. So we're not plotting 5, 6, 7 points. We're just going to plot 2 and make a sketch. All right, so we can have a general shape of what this graph should look like. So let's go ahead and look at this first one here. Now remember, you always start by setting it equal to 0. This is already equal to 0, so we can get started. So A is 1, B is negative 6, and C is negative 27. Make your X. At the top of the X, I have A times C, which is negative 27. At the bottom, I have a negative 6. If you need to take out your pink charts to help you do that, I want you to find there are 2 numbers that multiply. Are you trying to give me the answer? Okay. Try to find 2 numbers that multiply to negative 27 and add to negative 6. So 2 numbers, they have to multiply to give you a negative 27 and add to be negative 6. If you look at your pink chart, go ahead, take those out. If you're not real strong with your multiplication table, that's okay. That's why I gave it to you. Look to see where there is a 27. Thumbs up when you think you know. I'm not going to call on you. I just want to see where we are at finding these numbers, because finding these numbers is like really important. So far I just got 4 people, 5 people, 6 people, 6 people, 7 people, 8 people, 9, 10. Okay, we're getting there. All right, anybody want to volunteer what those answers would be? Tristan? -9 and +3. Who agrees? All right, so because A is 1, remember we talked about this, you don't have to make a box. Now, if you really want to, I'm not trying to slow you down. But whenever A is 1, I am not going to make a box. I'm going to make my 2 parentheses. I'm going to put an X right here and here. And then I'm simply going to put the numbers that Tristan just gave me, which was -9 and +3. That's factor form, and we're done. All right, so now we need to solve these two. So take X minus 9, set that equal to 0. Take X plus 3 and set that equal to 0. So for the first one, I'm adding 9, so I get X equals 9. For the second one, I'm subtracting 3, so I get X equals -3. So my 2 solutions are X equals -3 and X equals 9. So now I want you to go to your X-axis and plot those 2 points. So you're going to put a point all the way, it's almost off the edge, all the way here at 9, put a point, and then put a point at -3. 1, 2, 3, put a point. So your 2 points are really stretched far, far, far apart. So +9, -3. So now, based off what we know, do you think this graph is a smile or a frown? Now remember, the leader determines the attitude of the whole graph, A. The leader determines it. So who says it's a smile? Who says it's a frown? It's a smile because A is positive. If the leader is positive, then we're smiling. So I'm going to go ahead and just sketch a smile. It's going to go through those 2 points. Again, that's just a sketch. It is definitely not accurate. It's just a general shape of what it should look like. Any questions? All right, let's look at our second example. So now we are at one that's not equal to 0. So I'm going to go ahead and write this here. Okay. So this one is equal to -3, and that's not okay. So what I need to do is I need to get rid of the -3. What's the opposite of -3? +3. Now you can only add it to its friend. All right, they have to be friends, and that would be the 7, because 7 doesn't have an X. So now I have X squared minus 7X plus 10 equals 0. So A is 1, B is -7, and C is 10. So let's go ahead and make our X. A +10 is at the top, and a -7 is at the bottom. Don't say it out loud, but see if you can find my 2 numbers. So what we know is that in order for this to happen, both of our numbers have to be negative. So focus on numbers that you know can multiply to give you 10. There's only 2 options though. 2 numbers that multiply to give you 10, except we know that they both have to be negative. All right. So I agree with what I saw. My numbers would be -5 and -2. Now, A is 1, so I'm going to go directly to my factors. I'm going to put those numbers right here. No need to make a box because A is 1. So now let's set both of those equal to 0 and solve them both. So take x minus 5, set that equal to 0. X minus 2, set that equal to 0. Get your two answers. This is going to tell us where the graph crosses the x-axis. That's what we're focusing on now. So we're not trying to find the vertex or the axis of symmetry. None of that. We just want to know, where does the graph cross through the x-axis? So for our first one, we're going to add 5. Right? So who had x equals 5 as one of their answers? All right, I'm going to put that down here on the line. For my second one, I have to add 2. So x equals 2 is my second answer. Put that on the line. So now let's make our sketch. Going to the x-axis, I'm going to go to the origin. I'm hop over twice. Hopping to the right because it's positive. I'm going to put a point. Then I'm going to hop over 5 times. Put a point. Am I going to draw a smile or a frown? Let's look at the beginning. The leader determines the attitude right here. So right here, see how that A is positive? That means we're smiling. The attitude, A is attitude. So we're going to go ahead and sketch our smile. And again, it's just a sketch, so it doesn't matter how low you go. I mean, you could draw one like that. That would be okay. You could also go all the way down. That could be okay. It just needs to be a smile, number one. And it has to only cross through those two places. In order for us to know like how low the point is, we would have to do opposite of B over 2A and then take that number and substitute it back in. But right now, we're just making a sketch. All right, how do we feel so far? Thumbs up, sideways down with factoring, writing it, finding. I need everybody. I just need to see where I'm at. Thumbs up, sideways down. This means I got it, almost have it. I have no idea. You're talking German. I don't know what you're saying. All right, one more. So we got x squared plus 6x minus 7 equals 8x minus 4. So first thing first, we have a problem. This is not set equal to 0. So we have two things that we need to bring over. The first thing I'm going to bring over is this positive 8. How do I get rid of a number that's positive? Do I add it or subtract it? Subtract it, but I got to subtract it from its friend. This is the friend because they both have something in common. They both have one x that they chilling with. So they can be together. The other thing I need to take care of is a minus 4. How do I get rid of or eliminate something that's being subtracted? Add it. I'm going to add it to its friend, which is the negative 7. All right, so now let's get it. I'm going to bring down my x squared. Now, if you need to, pick up your calculator, figure out what you get when you add the negative 6 and the minus 8. If you take 6 minus 8, what does your calculator tell you that gives you? 6 minus 8. What's 6 minus 8? Negative 2. So I got a negative 2x now. Now do the same thing here. Pick up your calculator. Negative 7 plus 4. -7 plus 4, -3. Okay, Aiden, we getting out of hand now with that phone. You a neurosurgeon? You being called to surgery or something? It can wait. All right, so I have my A value is 1, B is -2, and C is -3. Now we can factor. So we are going to make our X. On top of the X is always A times C, which would be -3. The bottom of the X is a -2. I'm going to make my 2 parentheses because I don't need to make a box. So don't say it out loud. This is the hardest part. This is where you have to figure out my numbers. And don't say it out loud if you know it first. But I need 2 numbers that multiply to -3 and add to -2. And we only have one option to get the 3, which is 1 times 3. We just got to figure out which one is negative, because that's the only 2 whole numbers that I can multiply to get 3 is 1 times 3. Which one am I making negative, the 1 or the 3? Show me with your fingers. Which one is negative? The 3, good. So I'm going to put a +1 and a -3. That's factor form. So now we're ready to set those equal to 0. X plus 1 equals 0. X minus 3 equals 0. So for the first one, because it's positive, I have to subtract, so I get x equals -1. And for the second one, it's negative, so I have to add, so I get x equals +3. All right, go to your x-axis, put down 2 points. The first point you're going to put down is going to be a -1, so you're going to hop 1 time to the left. The second point you're going to put down is at +3. So we're going to hop 3 times to the right. Am I sketching a smile or a frown based off the attitude of this equation? So a smile, because A is positive. The leader is positive. So let's go ahead and make our smile. Again, it doesn't matter how low you go because we don't really know where the vertex is. And that would be your graph. Any questions? All right, everybody take out your homework. This is what everybody is doing universally. This is not the time to take a nap. I want you all to work on numbers 1 and 3. 1 and 3 in homework 4. 1 and 3 for homework 4. Those are the 2 you should try to get done. Or at least get number 1.